Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Jon-Bernard, this is Nick. We are the K-Roos Bros, giving you the fight news from around the world. We are in Las Vegas.
Again.
For Fight Week. This is probably like our sixth time here this year, no one's counting. But we're here on location, it's a massive fight week. You got UFC 320, headlined by Pereira and Ankalaev. You got Power Slap on this week. BJJ's on at the Apex. There's some PFL on. Boxing news coming out. Dana White just announced a massive show for you today. Let's get straight into it.
I mean, first, if you do want to know if there's any other shows on this week, there's a floating billboard behind us going through the different types of shows. Vegas is where it's happening. As much as I'm not the biggest fan of the place, there is something always happening, and the UFC is this week. And the last time we were here, it was about 50 degrees. We were sweating our balls off on this roof.
It's a nice breeze tonight.
Nice breeze tonight. So you can tell the difference between summer and, is it autumn? I think we're in autumn now. So we're in autumn in America, and we've got a big fight this week.
We've got New York behind us, but let's get straight into it. So it's been the battle of the translators. Ankalaev and Pereira have gone at it in the UFC Performance Institute, but they can't speak English to each other, so they're literally going to battle and having words at each other over Google Translate.
Well, Alex Pereira first came out and said, hey, Ankalaev, he's ducking me. He's a coward. He doesn't want to face me. Ankalaev says, no, I'm not a coward, goes to the PI, confronts him, but they can't speak English to each other, so they're just talking to each other, basically in gibberish. Then someone goes, oh, here's Google Translate, say what you want.
Yeah.
Then you have a 30-second delay. Pereira listens to it. He says something back. Ankalaev listens to it.
Both kind of said they respect each other, but like you said, Ank didn't like that he lied and said that he was hiding in the UFC PI from him. Pereira said he heard it from a girl. He says he respects you as a champion, but not as a man. I don't know. It was very confusing. But again, is it hard to talk shit over Google Translate?
I think it doesn't get through as well because they're both probably very good trash talkers in their native languages. But when it gets to Google Translate, the delay time kind of does take away from the trash talk.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they both landed on, hey, October 4th, it's going to go down. And that's hopefully what will happen. And I think Ankalaev, for me, did win the exchange, because he said the only words that both of them could understand, and that was no shama.
No shama.
When he said no shama, I thought, okay, he does win the argument here.
Yeah, Pereira understands that. And also, you know, I don't know what it's going to be like during fight week. Last time it was hard to hype because they both don't speak English, but it's almost a battle of the translators. The translators are going to go to war together, talking shit to each other. One thing that the UFC could do, get the boys the new Apple AirPods 3. That way they can live translate and hear what each one of them saying to each other.
If you do see the new ads for this Apple AirPods, it's got live translations. I know what the delay time is, but I'm sure it's faster than the Google Translate they had going. But what I want to call bullshit on is that I think both these fighters can actually speak English, but they are putting on this act to make sure they don't get interviewed in English.
That's a theory.
They're both going on, I can't speak English, I'll trash talk on Google Translate, I'll trash talk in my language. When in reality, if they really wanted to, they probably could talk English. If their cameras weren't on, I guarantee these guys would have had exchanges in English.
Now, let's move on. Wanderlei Silva has been brutally knocked out in Sao Paulo, Brazil. After a boxing match, he was disqualified. People rush the ring. He gets dog-shotted from behind. Then all of a sudden, some bloke just comes out of nowhere, gives him the hardest punch I've ever seen in my life, and he was instantly KO'd.
Okay, let's go through the detail of events.
Okay.
So is it a boxing match?
It's a boxing match.
It was a boxing match in Brazil. Wanderlei Silva was the instigator of all this because he was throwing headbutts during the fight. Illegal headbutts. Did it 3 times, gets disqualified. Once the ref calls the disqualification, people start rushing into the ring, and if you go through the footage, Wanderlei Silva does cop a dog shot to the back of the head. Definitely made him groggy. Let's not discount that shot. Made him very groggy. He squares up to go again. The altercation's still going. As he's pressing forward, cops another shot right to the jaw.
Yeah, right on the button.
And he's out cold. I've never seen someone get knocked out cold in a long time.
There's a gif going viral, him just getting dragged on the floor outside the ring. He was not conscious. The photo of the aftermath looks even worse. His head's it's a bowling ball coming off his head.
He's got a massive black eye.
Yeah.
He looks terrible. And the fighter, the puncher that did this to him was his opponent's son. So ultimately, it was a family. It was someone
affair.
It was a family affair. It wasn't nice. It's not nice to see. You for Wanderlei Silva, look, you probably shouldn't have been in the boxing ring to start.
Yeah, there's got to be a time to call it on your career, or things like this are just going to happen.
Getting knocked out by your opponent's son post a disqualification, I feel like that's the time where you say, look, I think I'm done with combat sports.
I feel like this can only really happen in Brazil as well. But, you know, we always thought he should have lived by what Chael Sonnen said to him. You can't let people get too close to you.
Well, his son, Rafael, couldn't let Wanderlei get too close. That's why he knocked him out. That's just living by Chael Sonnen's words.
Chael Sonnen weighed in. He said, to the coward that did this to Wanderlei Silva, you fucked up. Only I'm allowed to make him look like a fool. Have a care, dummy. I'll see you soon.
Chael Sonnen if you do watch the viral footage, he's the only one that can't let him get close. I think he's commented on many other things on Wanderlei Silva's life. But for Charles Sonnen, I think he's going to... I don't know if he's going to get a receipt for Wanderlei Silva, but let's just hope the whole thing's put to bed, because anything that's going on with this is just bad news. Now,
Merab has been doing a lot of media lately, and he's trying to promote UFC 320. Now, while doing media, everyone's asking Merab about Umar rematch, who's kind of next in line. He comes out with a crazy statement, Merab, and says, the frozen lake that he jumped into hits harder than Umar Nurmagomedov.
And look, that lake was pretty frozen. It did look hard. And if you look at the aftermath of Merab jumping into that lake, he was split open pretty hard.
The frozen lake hits hard.
So I kind of agree with the statement. No slight and no damage against Umar, but his hand was broken, so that does kind of take away from his punches as well. And he's wearing gloves. That frozen lake, that's rock hard. That's as hard as it gets. So I feel understand. Like I'm not calling bullshit on the statement, but it's just an unnecessary jab at Umar.
Nah, I think Merab may be getting a bit frustrated with people constantly asking about Umar. He kind of proved himself. He gave Umar an opportunity after everyone was calling him a duck. Beat him, not convincingly, but definitely beat him, okay? And now everyone's still asking, when's this rematch, when Umar hasn't really fought since.
No, he hasn't. And he's fighting in Abu Dhabi, his home country, his home crowd, I should say. And I feel like Merab, he's either preparing for a rematch with him, or he knows that he's going to get past Corey Sandhagen. He wants Peter Yan in December.
He may have to fight him down the line.
Umar's going to probably be the next one in line after that, and it's the fight that makes most sense. And for me, it's the only fighter that can beat Merab in this division as well. So I like that he's trying to build this fight up from now. I just feel like maybe he could have waited till after. Maybe he didn't have to make this statement right now. I'm saying if you're supposed to be promoting a Corey Sandhagen fight, I get people are asking him about Umar, but I feel like the trash talk should be focused at Corey, because all I hear from Merab is he's looking straight past him. He's going to knock him out, move on to the next.
He's very confident. I don't think he's looking past him, acknowledges he's going to be a tough test, but I guess we'll wait and see. We'll cover that in our UFC 320 preview. Moving on, Dana White announces a new Zufa Boxing deal, but on the back of that, with the new Paramount deal, the $7.6 billion going to the UFC, Dana White says fighter pay will increase.
Well, I feel like people were hoping he said this immediately after the $7.7 billion deal got announced, because it's notorious. Okay, we're not going to shy away from it. Fighter pay in the UFC isn't as good as boxing, and probably isn't as good as it should be, given the amount that the UFC does make. Now with a $7.7 billion deal, everyone was expected to say, you know what, Dana White, you should be giving these guys boxing money now. Canelo, Crawford, they made over like $100 million each. I don't know what it was. UFC stars should be making nearly the same. Not going to say the same, but nearly the same. Yeah. And all we got out of Dana was, fighter pay is going to be good. It's going to be good. That's all we got.
The response was, I don't think it's going to increase that much, but fighter pay is going to be good regardless. I like the UFC model personally. I think with the new pay increase with the Paramount deal, it's going to mean the superstars get paid more. The unproven guys, they may have a little bit of a pay increase, but I think the top guys are going to see the best of the new deal.
And look, guys like Jack Della, they've praised the UFC pay structure. He says, look, when I'm champion, I'm getting paid. When I wasn't, I had to work up to that. And I feel like people do like to shoot on Dana, and this is one of the ways that they like to do it. They just go at fighter pay. It's the same old story. But naturally, as the product does get more viewership, as it does get more revenue, fighter pay is going to increase. So this is not an unexpected headline. It's just maybe nice to see that Dana's acknowledging it.
I'm sure we're going to see it in the new year when the fighter pay increases come out, at least for the top of the guys on the card.
What are we talking about? We're talking like base level, like a fighter's going to be getting 20K show fee, 20K win. Are we going to get fight of the night bonuses increase from 50 to maybe 100? Like, what's the increase here?
You know, is Ilya going to get, instead of 2 million, is he going to get 4? Like,
Are we just going like 100% increase on every metric in the UFC?
And the big difference is with no pay-per-view structure now. How is that going to work for fighters?
Because the main event fighters that relied on those pay-per-view points definitely need that increased base salary.
I think they're going to be good. Like they're getting billions of dollars. So I think they're going to be good.
And you know, another thing just to bring up, if you've signed like a 5-year deal or a 5-fight deal before this Paramount deal, do you get honoured with an increase, or is it still honouring the old deal? I don't know. The UFC is going to have to struggle through that.
Yeah, something's got to give. Let's move on to the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall reveals that he's got 11% body fat at 115 kilos on his Instagram story. This guy's in the best shape of his life, and he's had a year and a half off to do it.
Well, considering he's had a year and a half off, and as champion, he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
It's scary to think he's at 11% body fat. 11% body fat, from what I've heard and being a fitness fanatic, you're shredded.
Look, apart from Cyril Gane, who's in always decent shape, I feel like it's Tom Aspinall and every other heavyweight down here who's doesn't really take care of themselves that well, don't treat themselves as professional MMA fighters. Tom Aspinall lives, breathes, eats, sleeps MMA. He wants to be the champion. He's got a championship mindset. Ever since that injury, he's kind of come back. And I think the John Jones kind of fueled this fire in him that he wants to be the best. And he's shown, he's put in the work. He looks unbelievable.
Well, I did take to Twitter to look at this headline, to look at the community's response to this.
Yeah.
And they called bullshit. They were not believing 11%. And when I did look
he put out the documents.
Yeah, look, I don't know what metric or what method he was using to calculate his body fat percentage, but 11% is usually for the guys that are ultra shredded. I'm talking like probably Floyd Mayweather in his prime. You got to be a featherweight or a flyweight to reach 11% body fat because the level of training and like I'm talking, you got to have no body fat on you. Tom Aspinall, full respect to him. But he's a heavyweight. He's a big guy. He's got to be carrying a bit of extra weight somewhere.
But I want to give him some credit. We're talking in the clean testing era. We're not getting the Alistair Overeems and your Brock Lesnars who look like fitness freaks. This is a clean Tom Aspinall who's a current heavyweight champion, and he's setting the he's setting the stage for him to dominate the heavyweight division for at least the next 5 years if he's going to look like this.
I'm saying
who beats him like that?
I'm just saying he probably is the best athlete in the UFC right now. But if I'm being realistic and I'm being honest, he's probably at 20% body fat. 11%'s a bit too shredded.
You're saying 11%'s like the flyweights, like Pantoja.
Exactly.
And,
Kaya Sakura, he looks like he's maybe 11%.
Even Ilya Taporia, pretty shredded,
there's
pretty chiseled.
Like if you grab them, there's not a lot there. Like you're just grabbing pure muscle. If I grab Tom Aspinall's stomach, there's probably a bit of fat there.
Just judge on that photo.
But he needs that fat for his power. Like he gets a lot of his power from his weight, so there has to be something. But hey,
we'll ask him in person. We'll ask him if Tom. Just let us know. Let us know in the comments. Are we calling bullshit? Are you actually 11% body fat? Just let us know in the comments.
No homo. Take your shirt off. Let me see you without your shirt on.
Okay. Now, as we said, we are in Las Vegas for UFC 320. Let's get into our UFC 320 preview, starting with the main event. Okay. I want to start with the main event. Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 with Big Ank currently the champion. Nick, a lot of people say, oh, this fight's going to be different. Like Joe Rogan might get on commentary, guys, everyone thinks it's going to be the same fight. It's not going to be the same fight. Everything's changed. I don't think anything has changed. I think Big Ank is going to come in with the exact same game plan. A lot of feints for the wrestle. And where he beat him in the first fight, he beat him in the stand-up game. He landed a lot of counter shots, and I expect Big Ank to do pretty much the same thing, if not get a takedown or two.
Look, I disagree with you, mainly because the first fight was very non-committal. They were both kind of dancing around each other. Ankalaev tried to shoot sometimes. Pereira was very reserved, expecting the shooting. He was trying to really prepare his takedown defense.
Pereira said it was kind of an off night. And he's been on media saying, I was at 40% of my best.
And I agree with him.
And you can have an off night, I understand that.
And if you look at his previous fights, whether against Yuri Prohaska, whether against Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill, he was striking a lot more in those fights, looked a lot better. And considering he is the challenger, he does have to do something in this fight to either convince the judges that he's winning the fight, and whether that's throwing a few more strikes, whether that's being a lot more aggressive, which I do expect him to be. Ankalaev, look, in his fights as well, is he a knockout artist? Not really. He went to decision against what's his name? The Serbian guy, I forget his name. He went to he was very lackluster against Johnny Walker as well. So he's not the most dominant knockout artist.
Lost to Paul Craig.
He lost to Paul Craig. That's very lucky.
Yeah.
I'll give him that win. Okay, but Alex Pereira, at his best, can beat Ankalaev. Whether it does go the same way, it was a close fight the first time. It was very close. He did win a very close, I think it was unanimous, but still very close fight. If Alex Pereira just can steal around at the end of it, throw a few more jabs, maybe a head kick, whatever it is, just be a bit more aggressive, I could see him getting the win. And I hope it's a KO because the UFC needs it. They need a lightweight champion that's entertaining.
I feel like, look, we can't lie. Pereira has kind of lost a bit of hype from 7 months ago when he was at the top of the division and, he was just saying Sharma all the time. Now he kind of needs this win to kind of get back to the top of the division. I fully expect him to come with more pressure, let the hands go a bit more, come with those calf kicks that were pretty much getting unchecked in the first fight. But it could be totally different. I just think I'm riding with Big Ank, who is now a heavy favourite in this fight.
Okay, so official prediction, what do you got?
Big Ank to win.
Okay, I'm going Pereira by KO. I feel like he's going to get the stop. And I just want to go with this one. If Pereira does win, do they set up a trilogy straight away?
Nah, Pereira said this himself. I don't think it's in the UFC's best interest to serve up another trilogy of the translator trash talk.
Well, because I don't think that's so either, but does he go up to heavyweight as well?
No, you give a new contender, whether it's not Khalil Roundtree, but Carlos Ulberg, who's went and knocked out Dominic Reyes, who's going to say he wants to be the backup of this fight. So
I feel like if Ankalaev does lose, he doesn't get an immediate rematch, because usually if you get an immediate rematch, you kind of need 2-3 title defenses. You need to earn that kind of immediate rematch, which Alex Pereira has. That's why he's got it.
Depends on how good the fight is. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen.
Great pronunciation.
Nick, Merab is confident that this is going to be 90% striking, just on the feet, these two, which I think is dumb from Merab, because we know Merab's game is just to tire out these guys with shooting for takedowns 100 times. If he goes away from that game plan, I don't know, I think I'm leaning more towards Corey Sandhagen.
You're an idiot. Okay. Merab can win however he wants. He showed against Sean O'Malley that his striking is at that elite level now. He's been working on it who knows how long. And against Sugar Sean, if you compare that first fight to the second fight, Merab is like he's in his ultimate form right now.
Finished him.
He's great at striking. He can still wrestle. He can still shoot. He's going to shoot a million takedowns. I don't care what he says in the media week. It's not going to happen. He's going to come into this fight and shoot for a takedown straight away, because that's where he's dominant. At least he's going to maybe feint for it and then start striking. Corey Sandhagen's coach said, look, I want to wrestle with him.
Yeah.
Which is a stupid game plan. Why? Why would you want to wrestle with him for? You would want to strike with him.
He backs his jiu-jitsu. And look, the thing with Corey Sandhagen, he's a very technical fighter, probably one of the best in the division. But like everyone does the UFC maths, where you say he lost to Umar. You know, and look at that fight with Peter Yan. And look how Merab faced those two opponents. Corey's reasoning is Merab just tired these guys out. He says, if you look at how I was against Umar in the 5th round, it was very different. But Merab, he shoots 100 times, and Umar was just too tired. He says, I do not get tired. So I'm not going to count Corey Sandhagen out, but you just can't bet against Merab. Merab literally is, I think, on pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the UFC right now. I don't think he can be stopped. The activity is crazy, and I think he's going to keep up the momentum. He's already asking the UFC if he can be on a December card. That's how far he's looking.
Look, nothing against Corey Sandhagen. Seems like a funny guy.
I like him.
Seems like he's making some good content and lead up to this fight.
Lebanese conditioning coach.
Really?
Yeah, Sayun. I'm going to ask him about
That's not good. I'm pretty sure we Lebos. We guess out early.
He knows his stuff.
But in saying that, Corey, as much as you might have good cardio that might be able to keep up with Merab, I just think ultimately his wrestling and even striking at this point in his career is just going to be too good. And the fact that he is looking to December, I don't see that as looking past an opponent. I feel like that he's just him, ultimate confidence. The way Ilia Topuria can kind of call out a victory, say how he's going to win. He's got that ultimate confidence. Maybe he's feeding from Ilia, but I just feel like it's just going to be Merab's night. He's going to get it done. I do see him getting the finish as well. If he could get the finish against Sugar Sean, I could see him getting the finish against Corey.
Yeah, let's move on to some other fights. You got some crackers on here. Patchy Mix looking for redemption on the prelims. Josh Emmett in a featherweight bout. He's an underdog in his fight. But another featured bout on the main card. Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Roundtree. I feel like this is one of the most underrated fights on the card, and it's going to bring fireworks.
I definitely expect this to be fight of the night. You got two great strikers. Khalil Roundtree in his last fight definitely was a great fighter. If you showed how much he pieced up Jamal Hill. Then you go to the fight before that against Alex Pereira. He kept up with him. I'd say he even won 2 rounds against Alex Pereira. He was very good kickboxing. And Yuri Prohaska, it is awkward to watch the way he fights. He's very unorthodox, but it's very entertaining. And he does know how to make an entertaining fight. Every time I've watched him fight, going all the way back to his title fight against Alex Pereira's trainer, what's his name? Glava Teixeira. That was one of the most exciting fights I've ever seen. So Yuri Prohaska is always going to produce fireworks. And I only think he's going to win strictly because of his age. I feel like he's the younger fighter. He's the former champion. He needs that redemption to get back to the title, and this is his way to do it.
Well, the thing is, Yuri Prohaska, he wants to be a samurai. He has the spirit of a warrior, he says. And he's going up against another hippie. That is Khalil Roundtree, very Muay Thai, very introspective
like
type guy.
Type fight.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's a clash of the personalities. Where I think Khalil Roundtree might have the upper hand is that look what he did to Jamal Hill, and look how sometimes Prohaska can get caught. You've seen it against Alex Pereira, who's not as quick of a striker as a Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree is very sharp, and Prohaska has that. You know, he keeps his stance nice and low. Doesn't really keep his hands up and protect himself.
He's open. He's
very open, and he even says himself, sometimes I have to feel a couple shots to get into a flow state. I fully expect Khalil Roundtree to land some bombs. It's just who's going to go down first. Similar to the Jamal Hill fight, and Prohaska got the better of Jamal Hill in that. But like you said, Khalil Roundtree did piece up Jamal Hill. So I'm going to go for value here. I'm going for the outsider, Khalil Roundtree, to win by a TKO. I don't think this is going to be a decision fight. One of these fighters is going to get knocked out.
Look, I feel like both have a chin, though. That's the only reason where I can see it go to decision. But if they're both landing consistently, don't take this fight to go to decision.
Yeah.
Take it, and if you're smart, don't go the value. Go with the favourite, Jiri Prochazka, to win by KO.
I don't know. I think the distance is going to be closed nice and early. And if Khalil Roundtree is the smarter fighter, if I want to say that, he's smarter about his shots, I would just take him purely for value. That's what I'm saying.
I watched this video the other day of like Jiri when he had the champion, how much happier he was as a person to now being, you know, obviously the loser, not the champion. I think that motivation alone, just that yearning to get the title back, to be in that happy state, would make him want to win this fight. And Khalil Roundtree, I feel like he knows he's on the back end of his career. He's 36 years old. He's not young. So I feel like, you know, he has these big fights, these big name fights, these big matchups that kind of end his career.
Yeah. All right, let's go into our best multis for UFC 320. I'm going to start with Khalil Roundtree to get the win against Jiri Prochazka. Then I'm going to take Merab to win by a decision or submission.
Okay.
So decision or submission. And then I'm going to take, in the main event, Big Ank to get the win as favourite.
No KO or decision?
No KO, just to win.
Okay, my best bet for this week is Jiri Prochazka by KO or TKO into Merab to get the finish. That's KO or submission. Okay. He's going to get it done before the bell, before the end of round 5. Taking that into Alex Pereira head-to-head. Look, he may get this done by decision. He may KO him. I don't know. I just know Alex Pereira is going to walk out the winner with the belt.
Yeah, I'm also betting, just a side bet, that we will see a Jiri Prochazka stare-off with Alex Pereira as he's doing an interview somewhere, just longing for that belt, visualising something.
Someone in the UFC has already set up that shot. They've got Jiri Prochazka's allocated seat in behind Alex Pereira's stare-off position.
But listen, I fully expect it's going to be a great fight week. There's some big fights on. We can't wait to cover it for you. Make sure you're staying tuned on the interviews at K-Roos Bros on YouTube and at Jon-Bernard K on Instagram and TikTok. But let's go over to the last piece of news that hit. It got announced today. Zufa Boxing has now officially signed an agreement to be aired live on Paramount Plus.
So TKO obviously has the UFC on there now. Zufa Boxing, which is TKO's boxing league, will now also be with Paramount.
It's a 5-year deal. There's going to be 12 fights per year over those 5 years. So Turkey and Dana are heavily invested in Zufa Boxing and making this a staple in boxing.
Well, Dana White did the rounds on the news, did some interviews, talking about how he's better than all these other promoters, how Zufa Boxing is going to be better, it's going to be different. He mentioned something about maybe a new ring, maybe some new rules. I don't know what Dana's going on about, but if there's anything to go by, he is a good promoter. The UFC is one of the best promotions in the world, and that's why Turkey El Sheikh's grabbed him and said, hey, we're going to give you this boxing, I'm going to give you the money to behind it to back this and really make it what it is. So I do feel like this is going to be a successful league.
And Dana's very competitive. He wants to compete with Eddie Hearn. He says, all these guys, they want to compete with me. He just thinks he's better than them. He's better at promoting than them. Eddie Hearn wants to go head-to-head with him. So you're going to have DAZN and have these Riyadh season cards. But you're also going to have Paramount with these Zufa Boxing cards. Yeah, see, so what's going to go on with the belts?
I don't see how that's going to work, though, because
Eddie Hearn is adamant that people want to see the heritage of the WBC belts. But Dana White announced that you're going to have a Zufa Boxing belt and the Rig Magazine belt, and that's the only belt he's going to acknowledge.
And see, that still doesn't even make sense to me, because really, shouldn't they only acknowledge one? Like, have a UFC type belt system. Like, if you're going to start acknowledging different promotions, I understand the Ring Magazine's kind of tied in well with the Saudis now, but how does it work? Like, which one's more important?
I don't know. I feel like they're going to try and focus on, and this is what TKO have said in the past, marquee fights like Canelo Crawford with the Ring Magazine belts, and then maybe the Zufa Boxing element will be like a contender series of boxing
undercard,
with these up-and-coming boxers that get a Zufa Boxing title that can elevate them to a Ring Magazine title.
Do you see it competing? I feel like if Turkey El Sheikh is involved in anything, it's going to do well, because the money that comes from this Saudi investment fund, it's unlimited. It's unlimited at this point, so that's where, if you're a fighter, you're just going to go where the money is.
I think it's like Canelo Crawford. If there's hype behind the fighters, Dana White can position them better than I think anyone else can. I think he can build hype behind already established fighters better than what current boxing is doing already, because he has this marketing machine behind him, TKO, UFC, WWE. It all works as one. So I think Dana White can promote those fights, and he's going to try and create new stars. And Dana White has done that in the past with other fighters. I think he's going to do it in boxing. And you may see crossover for people from the UFC going over to Zufa Boxing. They might call it a time on their career in the UFC, or they want to make a marquee fight. Let's go do it in Zufa.
I fully expect Ilia Topuria at some point to either fight in Zufa Boxing or any other boxing promotion, because he's the guy that's made for it.
100%, 100%. Well, listen, that's all we have time for today on Trash Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in.
You smell that popcorn?
I do. It smells really good. Hey, we're in the city of Las Vegas. Make sure you tune in for all the UFC 320 fight content this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe at K Roos Bros. Back to you in the studio, Ryan.